Imagine waking up to find a total stranger just walked into a telecom store, claimed to be you, and like walked out with the keys to your bank accounts and your most intimate photos.
Yeah, right on a replacement SIM card.
Ah.
It's an absolute nightmare.
Right. So today's deep dive into an April 2026 Mexican Supreme Court press release is, well, it's exploring how the highest court just radically shifted the blame for that exact scenario.
Which is huge.
It really is. We are looking at a system suddenly drawing hard lines in the sand for telecom giants, for politicians, and honestly, the justice system itself.
And the initial response from the telecom company in this SIM swapping case was is pretty devastating. After the fraudster took over the woman's line and leaked her personal photos, the company essentially argued she was responsible for her own digital content.
Wait, really? They just blamed her.
Yeah, they completely sidestepped their role in handing over access to her digital life.
Okay, let's unpack this. Because how did the fraudster even get the SIM in the first place? I mean, the company's ID check must have been virtually non-existent. It's like a bank handing over the keys to your safety deposit box just because, a stranger showed up with a sticky note claiming to be you. How does a ruling like this actually change corporate behavior?
Well, what's fascinating here is that the court completely rejected that victim-blaming stance. They legally classified telecom companies as guarantors of digital safety.
Guarantors. Okay.
That is a massive legal shift. It means these corporations aren't just providing a tech service, they're legally shielding your data. The court ruled the company civilly liable for negligence.
Oh, wow. So they actually have to pay up.
Yeah, and moving forward, the mechanism for handing over a SIM requires incredibly strict protocols, like physical ID verification, matching contract records, and security questions.
So the court is establishing that corporations just don't have infinite leeway to make careless mistakes with your data.
Absolutely.
But interestingly, in the same session, they turned that exact same logic inward. They ruled that the state doesn't have infinite leeway to prosecute its own people either.
Yeah, we see that clearly in a case out of Calumet involving two municipal officials accused of peculation, which is basically, misusing public money meant for worker benefit.
Right, corruption.
Exactly. And the court struck down a state law that allowed infinite time to prosecute this specific financial crime.
So what does this all mean? I mean, shouldn't we want corrupt officials to face justice no matter how long it takes?
You'd think so, right?
Yeah, like why let someone who stole public funds off the hook just because the clock ran out?
Well, that desire for absolute accountability makes complete sense. But if we connect this to the bigger picture, having no statute of limitations, the law calls imprescriptibility, is an extreme exception in international law.
Ah, okay.
That mechanism is reserved strictly for the most horrific crimes against humanity, like forced disappearances. Applying that exact same infinite timeline to a municipal financial crime, while serious, it's legally disproportionate.
Got it. So the state has immense investigative power, but it has to use it within a reasonable time frame.
Precisely. It's about putting guardrails on the state's power.
Okay, so having established those strict time limits for prosecution, the court also set firm boundaries on courtroom procedures, right? So the legal system actually works for you rather than trapping you in endless loops.
Right. The overarching goal here is preventing a scenario where justice delayed by procedural chaos becomes justice denied.
Here's where it gets really interesting because there were 3 specific rules they laid out.
Yeah. So, for instance, the court ruled that judges must automatically verify the proper legal path, or the via, before they even rule on a conflict.
Meaning what exactly?
Well, imagine suing someone for a breach of contract, but you accidentally filed it under property dispute laws. Previously, courts might let you litigate for years before throwing the entire case out on a technicality.
Yikes.
Now the judge has to verify the correct legal path on day one.
That makes total sense. You absolutely must ensure you're playing on the correct field before the clock even starts.
Exactly. And once the clock starts, the court is stopping endless delays. They ruled you can only expand a civil lawsuit once.
Only once.
Yes. They cited a wind turbine contract dispute where a company kept adding new damage claims just to drag the litigation out indefinitely. You can't do that anymore.
Okay, so no endlessly changing the playbook.
Right. And furthermore, They tackled bias in the appeals process by mandating that appellate judges cannot repeatedly review the same criminal case.
So wait, restricting appellate judges from reviewing the same case. That's to ensure we have fresh referees who haven't already made up their minds about the players.
Exactly. That contamination of bias is the exact problem the court is trying to solve. An appellate judge who has already reviewed a file inherently brings preconceived notions to a second review.
I see.
This raises an important question about how the system requires meticulous fairness, but it also has to guarantee your right to an impartial trial.
It's fascinating to see a justice system adapting to protect your dignity in the digital age while, simultaneously tightening the procedural rules for everyone else so the actual machine runs.
Yeah, it really is a massive shift across the board.
But it leaves you with a lingering thought based on where we started. If telecom companies are now legally the guarantors of our physical digital keys, our SIM cards, because of a simple ID check failure, what happens to corporate liability when our primary digital keys become entirely biometric? When a stranger doesn't show up with a sticky note, but, say, with a deep fake, who becomes the legal guarantor of your face or your fingerprint?